Hello, everybody. Welcome to the very first episode of the Walk with the Hockey podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Black. And yes, I still have my Walk with the Rest podcast, but figure let's add a side project. Let's talk about my second favorite sport ever is hockey. And this will be going on the Bedlam Media YouTube channel. And I'll upload the audio uh, feed to myself to the Walk with the Hockey podcast feed. So, yeah. So, what the show's going to be basically, I'm just going to talk about the NHL and the American Hockey League. With the NHL, I'm just going to talk about like preview the games, the result of the games, to like give you previews. Any news, like if there's a major news, AHL is just going to be talking like just the results and preview of the games there. So yeah, since we're in Stanley Cup playoff season, figure we'll also get started. Better time to start now than never. So yes, I'm recording this on Tuesday, April 7th. So what my goal is, I'm going to try to every episode on Tuesdays. If not, it'll possibly be Thursdays, but I'll keep you guys updated what's going on with that. So this week, with today's very first episode, we're going to talk about the games from Sunday and Monday, and preview the games. We're going to go from Wednesday all the way to uh, Monday. AHL, I'll just talk about, like I said, beginning episode, just big results and a preview for the next upcoming games. But let's just not waste any time. We're just going to jump right into it as we start with the NHL games from Sunday, April 5th, aka Easter Sunday. And we had 7 games on hold for here. So the opening game one was at 1 p.m. Eastern. So it was the Minnesota Wild who already got their spot in the playoffs, defeat Detroit Red Wings with a score of 5-4. And since Detroit lost, Montreal Canadiens do get a spot in the 2026 Stanley Cup. And your 3 stars are, and I do apologize if I butchered these names, so just give me some slack here. So first star was Kirill Kaprizov from Minnesota Wild. Second star was Axel Sedin Palkia from Detroit Red Wings, and Matt Boldy gets third star from Minnesota Wild. And then on game number 2, that is from 3 p.m., Pittsburgh Penguins defeating the Florida Panthers with a score of 5-2. Uh, Actually, I should probably tell you who won the Minnesota Detroit game. The winning goal came from Kirill. Kaprizov getting his 43rd goal, but that was the power play goal. Uh, so back to the Pittsburgh game. Sorry about that. So first star was for Carl Reko from Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby, your second star, also from Pittsburgh Penguins, and Arturas Silvas, the goalie, also from Pittsburgh Penguins. 4 players are eliminated from the contention for Stanley Cup playoffs, but the game-winning goal goes to uh, Brian Rust, getting his 28th of the season, making it the final with 5-2. Game number 3 at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, as Boston Bruins went into the Philadelphia Flyers hometown, and Philadelphia Flyers get the win with the score of 2-1 in overtime. Uh, Porter and Martin getting called up from the AHL, gets it in overtime with a power play goal, getting his very first one. And what a way to kick off your NHL debut by winning the overtime goal. And speaking of Porter, he does get the first star from the Philadelphia Flyers. And by Philadelphia Flyers get all 3 stars here. Christian Dorvac gets second star, and the goalie Dan Fedor gets the third star. And then we go to game number 4 at 5 p.m. Eastern. Ottawa Senators was hosting the Carolina Hurricanes, and Ottawa Senators get the win with the score of 6-3. And by Carolina is in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So all 3 stars go to the Ottawa Senators. Brady Tkachuk, the captain, takes first star. Tim Stützle takes second star, and Riley Gray takes the third star. And the game-winning goal was Claude Grujo with the empty netter with literally 57 seconds like of the third period. Then we go to game number 5 at 7 p.m. Eastern. New Jersey Devils was visiting Montreal Canadiens, and they beat them in their hometown with a score of 3-0. And the first 2 stars do go to New Jersey Devils. Jack Hughes takes first star, and Nico Hischier takes second star, and Josh Anderson takes third star from Montreal Canadiens. And Connor Brown gets the empty netter at 16:35 to get his 17th of the season. And then game number 6, also at 7 p.m. Eastern, Washington Capitals visit New York Rangers, and the Rangers do get the win with a score of 8-1. That was just an ass beating for that game. And Rangers are eliminated from contention for the playoffs. So Capitals still have a chance from the wild card position. But Will Clyde gets his 20th of the goal with 32 seconds left in the game. And Will Clyde does get first star. Micah Senevajad, I do apologize if I butchered that last name. Uh, from New York Rangers, Adam Fox is the third star for New York Rangers. So New York Rangers dominating with that, which you kind of figured. And the final game, game number 7 from Sunday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, St. Louis Blues defeat the Colorado Avalanche with a score of 3-2. And by the way, St. Louis Blues was visiting Colorado for this game. The game-winning goal went to Robert Thomas getting his 21st of the season. And St. Louis Blues takes the first 2 stars, while Brent Burns from Colorado Avalanche takes star number 3. But Robert Thomas takes first star, and Jimmy Snuggerud, I keep apologizing, but gets that goal, a second star. So far the teams who clinch play out Stanley Cup playoff spot from April 5th. Tampa from the Atlantic Division, Tampa Bay Lightning, Buffalo Sabres, and Montreal Canadiens. For the Metro Division, Carolina Hurricanes, and from the Central, Colorado, Dallas Stars, and Minnesota Wild. No one from the Pacific yet, but as I'm recording this, that could change. So the eliminated teams from East Division, from the Atlantic Toronto Maple Leafs and Florida Panthers, and the Metropolitan New York Rangers are the only ones eliminated so far. Chicago Blackhawks from the Central Division and Vancouver Canucks from the Pacific, and they were actually the very first team to be eliminated from that. So that was the Sunday game. So we're going to jump over to Monday, March 6th, with only 4 games on tap here. That was actually last night. So the very first game at 7 p.m. Eastern, Tampa Bay Lightning going to Buffalo Sabres. And this was a great game. Buffalo defeated Tampa Bay Lightning with a score of 4-2. So Buffalo Sabres takes all 3 stars. I'll touch at first star. You could pick lock it in. The goalie gets second star, and Jason Sucker gets third star. And the game-winning goal went to Jack Quinn at an empty netter with a minute and 54 left, 18:06. So getting the fourth and final goal for that game, and that was his 19th of the season. Game number 2, as this was at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Wow, I fucked that up real bad. Seattle Kraken visiting Winnipeg Jets, and the hometown team gets the win with a score of 6-2. The game-winning goal goes to, for that, Neiman Stukov. I do apologize for that, butchering that real bad. Gets an empty netter, getting his 8th of the season at 17:56. But the 3 stars are Mark Shaver, first star, Jonathan Toe, second star, and Kyle Connor gets third star. So yeah, Jets win at 6-2. And then we go to game number 3 at 10 p.m. Eastern, as Chicago Blackhawks visits the San Jose Sharks, and San Jose gets to win with the score of 3-2. And the game-winning goal went to for San Jose was Will Smith getting his 23rd of the season. So when Eklund gets first star, Kiefer Sherwood gets second star, and Will Smith gets third star. All of those 3 men from San Jose Sharks. And the fourth and final game on last night was at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. It was National Predators visiting the Los Angeles Kings, and the Predators wins with the score of 3-2, and that went to a shootout. And the shootout winner was Adrian Kempe getting the shootout win. And the 3 stars, all from LA Kings. Scott Laughton gets first star, Antoine Forsberg second star, and Jared Wright gets the third star. And now, since I'm recording this at 4 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock my time, the games have not started for tonight. So what I'm going to do is from here all the way to Monday, I'll just talk about just the preview games. So tonight I'll tell the score, but the rest of the games I won't yet. So game number 1, at 7 p.m. Eastern, Florida Panthers with a score of 37, 37, and 3. Visit Montreal Canadiens with their record of 45, 22, and 10. And their season series by Montreal has beat Florida twice, back in December 30 with a score of 32 in overtime, and on January 8th with a score of 6-2. Game number 2, also 7 p.m. Eastern, Tampa Bay Lightning 48, 23, and 6. Visit the Ottawa Senators, who have the record of 40, 27, and 10. And the season series between these 2 teams are tied 1 apiece. All Stars beat Tampa Bay Lightning back October 9th with a score of 5-4, before Tampa Bay beating Ottawa in their hometown at March 28th with a score of 4-2. Game number 3, also at 7 p.m. Columbus Blue Jackets 38, 27, and 12 takes on the Detroit Red Wings of 40, 29, 8. And Bobby Columbus is visiting in Detroit. And that season series is tied a 1 apiece, with Detroit winning at November 22nd in overtime with a score of 4-3, before Columbus comes back on December 4th in a shootout win with a score of 6-5. Game number 4, Philadelphia Flyers 39, 26, and 12 visit the New Jersey Devils with and their win loss and shootouts and stuff is 40, 34, and 3. And Philadelphia actually takes the season series with 2-0 as they beat New Jersey Devils back November 22nd with the score of 6-3. Then a week later, November 29th, almost the exact same score by 6-3 is 5-3. So Philadelphia looks to make the clean sweep here with 3-0. And then game number 5, also 7 p.m. Eastern, Boston Bruins with the score of 43, 26, and 9, meeting the Carolina Hurricanes with the score of, I don't know why I keep saying score, with the record of 49, 22, and 6. And that season series is tied at 1 apiece. But Boston Bruins defeating Carolina Hurricanes back on November 1st with a score of 2-1. For Carolina beats Boston on November 17th with a score of 3-1. Sorry, Scott, I know you're a big Boston fan, but that's just how the results go. Then at 8 p.m. Eastern, game number 6 here, Colorado Avalanche with a record of 50, 16, and 10, visiting the St. Louis Blues at 33, 31, and 12. And the series is tied. So Colorado Avalanche defeating St. Louis Blues with a score of 6-1. That I forgot to date down. What was that first game? On New Year's Eve. I don't know how I forgot to write that down. And then before St. Louis Blues defeating Colorado Avalanche, actually tuned back on Sunday with a score of 3-2. And then game number 7, 8 p.m. Eastern, Calgary Flames 32, 36, and 8, visiting the Dallas Stars at 45, 20, and 12. And by the way, Dallas Stars do have a spot in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And that season series is tied 1 apiece, where Flames did defeat Dallas back on November 22nd in a shootout with score of 3-2, before Dallas destroying Calgary Flames on March 3rd with a score of 6-1. Game number 8, 8 p.m. Eastern. Seattle Kraken with this record of 32, 33, 11, meeting the Minnesota, who's also in the Stanley Cup playoffs at 44, 21, and 12. And Minnesota takes that season series with 2-0. Back on December 8th, they won 4-1 before exactly a month later winning at 3-2 in overtime. So Minnesota Wild looks to season series cleans with 3-0. Then at 9:30 p.m. for the 9th game of the evening, Edmonton Oilers with a record of 39, 29, and 9 take on the Utah Mammoth 40, 30, and 6. And Edmonton takes that season series with 2-0 as they back on October 28th, winning at 6-3. And then on March 24th with a score of 5-2. On game 10 at 10 p.m. Eastern, Vegas Golden Knights of 35, 26, and 16, meeting the Vancouver Canucks with this record of 22, 46, and 8. And Vegas takes that series 2-0. Back on February 4th with the score of 5-2. Then on March 30th with the score of 4-2. And the final game of the night at 10 p.m. Eastern, game number 11, Nashville Predators. Nashville Predators 36, 31, 10 takes on Anaheim Ducks for 41, 31, and 5. And Anaheim takes that season series with only 1-0 back in October 21st, where the Ducks beat the Predators 5-2. So the elimination scenario, so Calgary Flames will be eliminated tonight with a regulation loss to Dallas Stars, or Nashville gets the points in Anaheim. So basically, if Nashville goes to a shootout or overtime with Anaheim, New Jersey will be eliminated with the loss of Philadelphia in regulation, or Ottawa gets a point against Tampa Bay. For Division 1, number 1 scenarios, Carolina Hurricanes can win the Metropolitan Division title, getting a point against Boston. And Colorado can win the Central Division title and get number one seat in the Western Conference with win over St. Louis in any fashion. Dallas either loses, gets a point, or loses to regulation to Calgary. And the President's Trophy, they actually can't win. The Colorado team, I should say, can win the 25-26 President's Trophy with the regulation win over St. Louis. And Carolina has to get a regulation win over Boston. Or the second option is they get an overtime shoot win over St. Louis. Carolina with a regulation win over Boston. And Tampa has to lose to Ottawa for that to happen. So on tomorrow, as I record, Wednesday, April 8th, only 3 games as Buffalo Sabres will face the New York Rangers. I'm not going to do the records because that might change after tonight. Washington Capitals faces the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Edmonton Oilers takes on San Jose Sharks. And the Buffalo New York is at 7 p.m. Eastern. Washington first trial at 7:30 Eastern, and Edmonton for San Jose at 10 p.m. Eastern. Thursday, April 9th, we have 14 games on hand. Uh, so at 6:45 p.m. Eastern, we have Toronto Maple Leafs for New York Islanders. At 7 p.m. Eastern, Columbus Blue Jackets takes on the Buffalo Sabres. Also at 7 p.m. Eastern, Tampa Bay Lightning visiting Montreal Canadiens. Also 7 p.m. Eastern, Florida Panthers visits the Ottawa Senators. At 7 p.m. Eastern, Philadelphia Flyers visit Detroit Red Wings. 7 p.m. Eastern, Pittsburgh Penguins meets the New Jersey Devils. 8 p.m. Eastern, Winnipeg Jets visiting the St. Louis Blues. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Carolina Hurricanes meets Chicago Blackhawks. 9 p.m. Eastern, Minnesota meets the Dallas Stars. Also at 9 p.m. Eastern, Calgary Flames visit the Colorado Avalanche. At 9 p.m. Eastern, Nashville Predators visits the Utah Mammoth. At 10 p.m. Eastern, San Jose Sharks meet the Anaheim Ducks. Also 10 p.m. Eastern, Vegas Golden Knights meets Seattle Kraken. And at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, Vancouver Canucks will visit the LA Kings. No games on Friday, April 10th, which is kind of weird. And then we were back on Saturday, April 11th, with 15 games as 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Tampa Bay Lightning visits the Boston Bruins. Ottawa Senators visit New York Islanders. That game's at 1 p.m. Eastern. At 3 p.m. Eastern, Washington Capitals visit Pittsburgh Penguins. 4 p.m. Eastern, Edmonton Oilers visits the LA Kings. 5 p.m. Eastern, New Jersey Devils visit Detroit. 5 p.m. Eastern, St. Louis meets Chicago. 5 p.m. Eastern, Minnesota Wild takes on Nashville. Also 5 p.m. Eastern, New York Rangers takes on Dallas Stars. Also 5 p.m. Eastern, Carolina Hurricanes meet Utah. 7 p.m. Eastern, Florida takes on Toronto Maple Leafs. 7 p.m. Eastern, Columbus takes on Montreal. Also 7 p.m. Eastern, Philadelphia takes on Winnipeg. 7 p.m. Eastern, May 11th, 7 p.m. Eastern games here. Calgary meets Seattle. 8 p.m. Eastern, Vegas Golden Knights meets Colorado. And the final game of that of Saturday, Vancouver Canucks takes on San Jose Sharks at 10 p.m. Eastern. Then Sunday, April 12th at 3 p.m. Eastern, Pittsburgh Penguins meets Washington. Montreal meets New York Islanders. Montreal will be in New York for that game. That's at 6 p.m. Eastern. Also 6 p.m. Eastern, Boston will meet Columbus. At 7 p.m. Eastern, Ottawa meets New Jersey Devils. 8 p.m. Vancouver takes on Anaheim. And at 9 p.m. Eastern, Utah will go against Calgary. And then Monday, April 13th, Detroit will take on Tampa. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern. Also 7 p.m. Eastern, New York takes on Florida. Also 7 p.m. Eastern, Carolina takes on Philadelphia Flyers. And by the way, it's the New York Rangers taking on Florida Panthers. That second game there. Game number 4, Dallas takes on Toronto. That's 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Minnesota for St. Louis, 8 p.m. Eastern. San Jose Sharks meets Nashville, also 8 p.m. Eastern. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Buffalo takes on Chicago. 9:30 Eastern, Colorado takes on Edmonton. At 9:30 p.m., also LA takes on Seattle. And at 10 p.m., Winnipeg Jets takes on the Vegas Golden Knights. So that is all the NHL stuff for this week. Now, before I end this week's episode, we're going to go to the American Hockey League. We'll start with there's no game on Easter Sunday. So and the only game we had last night, Monday, April 6th, was at 7 p.m. Eastern. And all the games, by the way, you can't watch on Flow Hockey. I'm not sure what the channels are for like the local team, so I do apologize for that. So Rochester Americans defeat Cleveland Monsters in a 4-3 shootout. So that was that game. And then for Tonight, April 7th, we have 4 games on tap. At 4 p.m. Eastern, we have San Diego Gulls with 31, 23, 8, and 4. RN San Jose will meet San Jose Barracuda at 39, 23, 2, and 2. Game number 2, Milwaukee Admirals will meet the Manitoba Moose. Milwaukee has to score 29, 29, 4, and 3. Takes on the Manitoba Moose. They're visiting them with the score of a record of 31, 28, 5, and 1. Uh, yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Game number 3, 8 p.m. Eastern, Iowa Wild with 23, 33, 6, and 3 will are at Texas Stars at 35, 27, 3, and 1. That is Texas Stars record. In the final game at 10 p.m. Eastern, or AK at 7 p.m. Pacific time, that is Colorado Eagles at 40, 17, 5, and 5 meet the Ontario Reign. That is 43, 19, 3, 2. And by that is Ontario, California, not Ontario, Canada. By Iowa and Texas, that is also 7 p.m. Central Time. Milwaukee first met that is 7 p.m. Central Time as well. And then San Diego, San Jose, that is a 1 p.m. Central Time, I believe. So that is those games. So we're gonna jump before we end this episode. We're just gonna jump to Wednesday, April 8th. So at 10:45 a.m. Eastern. Wow, rare morning game. That's a surprise. Utah Comets with the score a record of 26, 35, and 5 will take on the Toronto Marlins of 32, 25, 5, and 5. Rochester Americans with 30, 27, 5 will visit Syracuse Crunch at 39, 29, 3, and 4. Milwaukee and Mantle will meet again tomorrow night, but I'm not gonna if you don't hear their records, it's because they're meeting as tonight as we're recording this. Ottawa and Texas Stars will meet again as Ottawa will stay in Texas. Uh, that's at 7 p.m. Eastern. The Battle of New York teams there. The Milwaukee Mantle that's 7 p.m. Central, so that'll be 8 p.m. Eastern. Ottawa for that's 7 p.m. Central Time. That will be 8 p.m. Eastern as well. At 6:30 Pacific Time, so that'll be 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 p.m. my time. So Tucson Rollers with 30, 27, 9, and 0. Taking on visiting the Bakersfield Condors of 34, 29, and 1. And the game at 6:30 Pacific time, that'll be 8:30 Eastern, 9:30 my time. The Henderson Silver Knights with 35, 27, and 4 will face the Coachella Valley Fibers. Their record is 39, 22, 5, and 0. Uh, then Thursday, April 9th, we have only one game as the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins will visit the Bridgeport Islanders, and the Penguins have 43, 16, 6, and 2 record. Well, the Bridgeport Islanders have 30, 28, 3, and 5. Then Friday, April 10th, we have 12 games on tap as Chicago Wolves will meet the Grand Rapids Griffins at 7 p.m. Eastern. The Providence Bruins will meet the Hartford Wolfpack at 7 p.m. Eastern. Also 7 p.m. Eastern, the Battlefield Senators will meet the Laval Rocket. Toronto Marlins will visit the Utah Comets at 7 p.m. Eastern. At 7:05 p.m. Eastern, it would Rochester Americans take on the Springfield Thunderbirds. At 7 p.m. Central Time, so 8 p.m. Eastern, Texas Stars will visit the Manitoba Moose. Also 7 p.m. Central Time, so 8 p.m. Eastern, Iowa will meet the Rockford Ice Hogs. At 7 p.m. Mountain Time, so 9 p.m. Eastern, Abbotsford Canucks will take on the Calgary Ragnars. At 7:05 Mountain Time, so 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Tucson Rollers will take on the Colorado Eagles. At 7 p.m. Pacific Time, so that'd be either 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern. I got to double check on that one. San Diego Gulls will take on will visit the Bakersfield Condors. San Jose Coast will visit the Henderson Silver Knights at 7 p.m. Pacific. So I think that's 9 p.m. Eastern. And then the final game at 7 p.m. Pacific time, so that'll be 8 or 9 Eastern. Coachella Vipers will visit the Ontario Reign. Then on Saturday, April 11th, 3 p.m. Eastern, Buffalo Sabres take on Laval Rocket. At 4 p.m. Eastern, Hershey Bears will visit the Charlotte Checkers. 6:05 p.m. Eastern, Hartford Wolfpack will take on the Springfield Thunderbirds. Also 6:05 p.m. Eastern, Cleveland Monsters will visit the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. 7 p.m. Eastern, Rockford Ice Hogs will meet the Grand Rapids Griffins. At 6 p.m. Central Time, Chicago Wolves will meet the Milwaukee Admirals. Uh, Utah College will visit Syracuse Crunch at 10 p.m. Eastern. At 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time, Bridgeport Irish will visit the Lehigh Vale Phantoms. Also at 5 after 7 p.m. Eastern, Rochester Americans will meet Providence Bruins. 6 p.m. Mountain Time, so that'd be 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I believe. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Abbotsford Canucks will take on the Calgary Wranglers. 6 p.m. Pacific Time, Ontario Reign will take on Coachella Valley Firebirds. 6 p.m. Pacific Time, San Jose Barracuda will take on the Henderson Silver Knights. 7:05 Mountain Time, Tuesday Roars will take on the Colorado Eagles. And at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, San Diego Gulls will take on the Bakersfield Condors. Then on Sunday, April 12th, at 1 p.m. Eastern, Hershey Bears will take on the Charlotte Checkers. At 2 p.m. Central Time, Tech Stars will visit Manitoba Moose. At 3:05 p.m. Eastern, Cleveland Monsters will take on the Lehigh Vale Anthems. Also 3:05 p.m. Eastern, Springfield Thunderbirds will take on the Providence Bruins. 3 p.m. Central Time, Rockford IceHogs will take on Chicago Wolves. Also 3 p.m. Central Time, Iowa Wild will take on Milwaukee Miles. 4 p.m. Eastern, Toronto Marlies will meet Syracuse Crunch. And the final game of that Sunday will be Hartford Wolfpack visiting the Bridgeport Islanders. So that is the Sunday games. And then Monday, April 13th, before I should be able to record next week. No games for that one. So, and like I said, that's the show for this week. I'm your host, Ethan. I'll be back next week with the NHL and AHL. So you can follow me on Twitter as Ethan_Black15. That's my wrestling Twitter one. My hockey one will be Ethan_Black ATR. You can follow me on Above the Ring as well, doing Japan stuff. And you can follow me anywhere on PW Mania, Body Slam, and all that. Have a good week, guys, and stay safe.